Hello and good evening, everyone. My name is Carol Holland, and today I will be presenting to you something that's very, very important to me, and that is music education in both our public and private educational systems. Think back to your grade school days. Think back to the times when you would go outside to the playground and have a great day, but think back to all those hard classes you used to have to take, like math, science, history, English, and sometimes even a foreign language. Think back to all of those times and think about the outlet that you had, whether it be PE, art, or even music. For me, music was my favorite class. A lot of people do like the core subjects such as math, English, science, history, foreign language, but music was my class. I succeeded in the other classes fine, but I was more passionate about music than I was anything else. I know my favorite class was music. I loved learning all the ins and outs in music. The theory, the musicianship, the oral skills, all of it. I loved to learn about it. And that is why I'm pursuing it in college as well. My dream is to become a music educator. And I want to do this because I want to impact students and make them love music just as much as I love music. Although some may believe music education to be an elementary or unnecessary facet of our educational system, it's slowly losing its drive in our current educational system, and this I see to be a problem. Some see music education to be a wasteful endeavor and use of public and private funds in our educational system. However, the effects of music education on both the physical and mental status of our students is astounding. Studies have shown that more often than not, students do well and do better than students that participate in music. They will end up doing better than those that do not. For example, it is important because it affects students' brains, it influences our students in many ways, and it gives students an outlet of sorts. We always wonder in America why our educational system is failing slowly, and why places like China, Japan, and other Asian countries are doing so well in their educational systems. Well, let's take a minute and let's look at the fact that a majority of our classical musicians in the Americas happen to be Asian. I know that for me, that quite often when I'm at school, some of the best accompanists, some of the best vocalists, some of the best violinists are Asian and of Asian descent and actually come from the Asian areas. And that's because in those countries, it's mandatory that those students participate in music. And that may be strange to us Americans because we're so focused on the educational side. But to them, it's important because they know the influence and the effect that it has on their students. As a child, I was not one to fit in to a group of athletes. I wasn't one to fit into the group of jocks or the group that was popular, quote unquote, or even the goths or the drama geeks. I was the one that fit in with all the music nerds. I was different. I was an outsider. And I acknowledged that. And I was okay with it because I found my niche within music education and with all the students that were in my chorus class. Why, you ask, that music helps develop and do all these great things for us? Well, it helps develop the brain. It's a getaway for our students throughout their normal school day. Think in elementary school where they're in one class sitting for long periods of time. Their breaks are most likely lunch, and then their next break is probably a recess. Well, if we take away music, they won't have another break in that day, and they will steadily just be doing hardcore work, ranging from all the things that they have to do. The first point of why this is so important. Why does music affect the brain, or how can it affect the brain? It helps with development, and 2 researches show that it's essential when it comes to memorization. A quote I have for this is that the most recent research in neuroscience shows that the human brain deconstructs music patterns and then takes the elements of that deconstruction in order to store them in the brain's multiple memory locations. The retrieval of memory from these multiple neural circuits is required in order to reconstruct in our mind the representation of those musical patterns. Music also has a vast benefit to our brains by way of our brain's response to releasing endorphins. Endorphins are the things that make us feel good. For example, if you're not feeling well that day and you go on a run, more often than not, after you get off get finished doing that run, you'll feel good because your brain releases endorphins to make you feel good. Studies show that when you listen to music or perform music or sing music, no matter what, or dance to it, your brain's going to release endorphins, and this makes you feel good. The next point that I have in regards to why music education is important is the influence that music has on our students is vast. Between affecting their learning ability to affecting their learning techniques, knowing this one thing can assume that music is beneficial to the learning dynamics of our students today. A study shows that music has a great effect on the learning ability of our students. In this study, both groups attended the same videotaped lecture with the addition of classical music for the experimental group. Just after the lecture, both groups had to fill out a multiple choice questionnaire aimed to assess their learning during the lecture. The MCQ score of the experimental group was significantly higher than the control group. Just before the exam predicted significantly that the MCQ score, however, music accounted for an additional part of the variance. The effect of music on academic performance is not only about effects, and further research should investigate the underlying mechanisms resulting in the change in the perception of learning environment. My final reason is music education is important is because it provides students with an outlet like no other. It allows kids to share perspectives with their fellow students and expresses themselves in ways and manners that they normally cannot. A quote that I have pertaining to this point is, "Most music teachers are aware of the direct and inherent benefits for students of participating in standalone musical activities. We understand the knowledge acquisition and outlet for emotional response and personal expression, the group dynamic, and the development of self-worth, self-discipline, cooperation, and other life values. Having been an instrumental and vocal elementary and secondary music teacher for many years, I have found this music for its own sake orientation to be rewarding and exciting for students, and to be blunt obvious. Even organizations such as Mrs. America see the importance behind music education. In 2006, 2005-06 title holders from Mrs. America Incorporated volunteered at each stop, passing out project medallions to performers and championing the importance of music education. In conclusion, music education is important to all. Whether kids are interested in it or not, eventually music's going to help them. But most kids are interested in music. They listen to it on a daily basis. They mimic the things that they see on TV when they watch music videos. So why don't we try to incorporate music into our learning styles rather than to be rid of it at all? Thank you. Are there any questions?
No.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. And now my videoer is going to show you everybody that's here.